Guys, I really appreciate you stopping by the channel again. I'm John, and I first want to say I'm very humbled by the growth in my subscriber base. I know it's still a drop in the bucket in the scope of, in the size of YouTube, but I am very humbled that, so many of you have joined up and subscribed to my channel in just the last week and a half, gone from just about 20 subscribers to almost 100. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And just so you know, please comment. Let me know if there's anything specific that you would like to see. And you know what? If I can get to it, I'm going to shoot a video for you. So what I want to talk about is one of the things that I feel is extremely important in the Mavic Pro, and that's the RTH, return to home. So you're not going to see too much of me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlay the DJI Go app, and this video you're going to be able to follow along, and you're going to be able to look exactly at the different features of RTH return to home. Now, what does return to home do? Well, basically, exactly like it says, the feature of return to home brings your Mavic back to the recorded home location. Now, the RTH features are pretty in-depth. You have three different kinds of return to home. You have smart return to home, you have low battery return to home, and you also have what's called fail-safe return to home. And I'm trying not to make the video so long that it would bore you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into 3 separate tutorials, touching on each one of them, starting with Smart RTH. What is Smart RTH and how will it affect you? What does the Mavic actually do? What are the precautions you need to take? And kind of just, get it there in real world terms, something that it's very easy for, especially a lot of you new guys out there, to understand. So once again, very important. So I'm going to overlay this so you can follow along. Let's see what it means and how RTH actually works. Smart RTH. So here it is, the DJI Go app. And let's get into this RTH feature. On the top right hand side, you'll see those 3 little dots, the 3 white dots. Let's click on that. After you click on the 3 dots, it'll bring you to general settings. Top left hand corner is a picture of a drone. Let's click on that, and that brings you into the main controller settings. Now, right there underneath the main controller setting, you see basic settings, home point settings. Now let's click on the left one, the one with the arrow. Now, the one with the arrow brings up this. It says set current aircraft position as home point. Basically, the aircraft position. It could be anywhere in your yard. It could be right next to you, 50 feet away from you. It could be on your driveway, 30 feet away. It doesn't matter. That's going to be the recorded home point. When you press OK, you're going to get this.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Now look at the left-hand side. There's 2 green notifications. It says home point has been recorded and the return to home altitude is 100 meters. Okay, about 300 feet. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And it also says successfully set aircraft position as the home point. Aircraft position. Now remember that voice just a few minutes ago that said, please check it on the map? Okay, guys, take the time to check it on the map. It's just down at the bottom left. You click on it, the map opens up, and there you have the display, the overlay. It's going to show your home point. You see that little H? That's the home point. That's showing you that's where your Mavic is. Okay? So you just visually check that the GPS did record it correctly. Now, let's click on those 3 dots on the top right again, get back into the menu. Now let's click on the drone, and it brings back to the home point settings. We did the one on the left with the arrow, which recorded our home point wherever the drone was sitting. The one on the right shows the picture of a person. Well, set your current position as the home point. Hey, your current position, not the aircraft's current position. That is wherever you are, and of course it's expecting you to be holding the controller. Wherever your controller is, you could be snowboarding and having the Mavic follow you. You can be on a boat zooming along. You can be in a car and have it following a car. And when it goes home, it's going to come to the controller, or basically to you. So imagine that feature and imagine it flying away someplace else to your old home point if you don't set it to the moving location. Now go ahead and you press the OK button, and what are you going to get? The same message that we're used to that we got earlier.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Now this is interesting. Look at the second green notification. Home point set to the remote controller position. Well, that's different. Remember last time when we set the home point, it was set to the aircraft position? Well, this is you. Wherever you are with that remote controller, that's where the aircraft is going to come back to. Now, I want you to take just a couple of seconds when this video is all done, maybe a couple of minutes, and just think about the scenarios if this was not correctly set up. You know, you lose reception, the battery gets low, there's lots of different reasons why your Mavic may fly away, and we all hear the horror stories on the forums and in the groups. My Mavic flew away. Well, were you standing in the same position? Did you go in and make sure that you set the home point? So this is how critical I believe that RTH is in general. You got to go in and do these things. And now we come to the return to home altitude. Boy, is this one important also. I mean, all of these just put together are extremely important. Well, smart return to home, which is what we're talking about in this segment, is you purposely going in and pressing the return to home button on your controller, or pressing that icon on your iPhone, your Android, or the tablet that you're using to control your Mavic. Okay, now what does this mean? When you press one of those buttons or icons, your Mavic is going to go up to this altitude. Well, guess what? This altitude needs to be higher than anything around you, anything within whatever distance you're flying your Mavic. Now, we all know the rules are pretty much you can't let this thing out of your, line of sight. You have to be able to keep your eyes on it. Well, I know some of you out there are going a little bit further, if not a lot further than that. Well, think about how important this feature is. Me personally, I set my return to home altitude at 400 feet, or the equivalent to about 120 meters. The reason I do that is I never fly my battery so low that I have to worry about getting back. I don't want to worry about power lines or windmills or anything like that. You know what? I'm going to just go to the max altitude and come back home. So I'm not worried about using that little bit of extra battery or that extra, 30 seconds or 45 seconds it's going to take to get up to 400 feet. I would rather be up at 400 feet and not have to worry about hitting something. All right, let's move on. Now, by going down a little bit further, you click on the Advanced Settings. That brings you to the Advanced Settings menu. And once you're there, let's scroll all the way down, about halfway down the page, and that's going to bring you to Remote Controller Signal Lost. You notice that it says Return to Home? Well, if you click on that Return to Home, it gives you 3 different options. What do you want your Mavic to do? Do you want it to return to home, which is whatever you decided earlier, meaning the location where it took off from or where it was sitting? Or do you want it to return to home, being you and the controller? Do you want it to land wherever it is or hover wherever it is? It could be a half a mile away from you. What do you want your Mavic to do? Critical setting. Hey, listen, right now I want it to come back to wherever I am or wherever I recorded the home point of the Mavic to be. So I choose just to leave it at return to home. Now, right underneath the remote control signal lost is the smart return to home slider. Okay, very simple. I have not been able to find a reason why I want to turn this thing off. I would love some comments. If somebody out there can tell me why you would want to turn off the whole smart return to home feature, I would love to hear from you. Basically, I leave it on. Or everything we've been talking about is pretty much mute, right? Okay, great. Now, the next thing is we're going to scroll back up, or basically go over to the left-hand side, and underneath the drone icon where we've been all along, we're going to press on the visual navigation settings. Okay, that's the little one that's highlighted blue now. Now, this is what I want you to take a look at. This is another thing that's very important, okay? Now, Under enable obstacle avoidance, which is, as you see, green and it's enabled, you'll see on the second one is what we need to take a look at. Enabling obstacle avoidance will automatically enable RTH obstacle check, and that is set in the advanced settings. All right, what does all of that mean? Okay, remember, we're only looking at the second paragraph or the second sentence there. Enabling obstacle avoidance will automatically enable RTH obstacle check, which is set in the advanced settings. Well, let's go over to the advanced settings by scrolling down. Now remember, it told us what we just read, that RTH obstacle check will automatically be enabled when your visual navigation systems are enabled. Well, here it is right down there. You'll see RTH obstacle check. When ambient light is sufficient, it's going to avoid obstacles. See, if we go back, we look, enable an obstacle avoidance will automatically enable RTA obstacle check, and that is set in the advanced settings. So basically what that's saying is, hey, if you enable this, it's going to automatically enable the obstacle check, which you can turn off, by the way, if you want, separately from all your other visual sensors. But why would you want to do that? So I just leave that on. I do have a theory behind it, and that is, I don't want to be in a position where my Mavic is trying to return to home and may hit an obstacle. That's why I have my return to home altitude set so high. Remember that? Okay, great. Well, that's it. We got through it. Almost 12 minutes of video, and I hope you guys like what I did for you. I've really tried hard, and this is the longest tutorial I've done. So, listen, if you liked it, if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button and give it a like. I appreciate it, and thank you so much for tuning in and watching another one.